welcome to the Dakota Fundraising News Podcast. Today is Wednesday, the 19th of February. As we round out February, Konch, what's going on? Anything new?
Not a ton, just enjoyed the long weekend, Eagles parade, which is a great time. Tons of people, of course. Heard the first time we won was a lot livelier, though. But yeah, besides that, just taking it easy. Got a big Spain trip in the summer, so trying to lay low until then. What about you?
Yeah, that's awesome. I just bought a house, so also
Nice,
laying
congrats.
low, just because now I'm a first-time home buyer, so I'm on a full spend pause, which is good.
I'm sure the podcast will hear all about your new house over the
The
over
podcast
the
will
coming
hear
months.
all about the new house over the coming months.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, the podcast is going to hear about Carlisle. We'll just kick things off. Carlisle, and I'll just tease this because we do now host weekly the Dakota Research podcast as well. You can listen to that live actually on Fridays at 11 a.m. And it will be on all of the podcast platforms that you're familiar with as well. But we'll dive deep into this topic then, Carlisle and some of these other large firms that we're talking about on this private fund focused show. But just to tease that, Carlisle, last year increased their headcount by about a third. They had a record year of inflows, and they have just announced that they will be increasing their global wealth distribution workforce by at least 50% in 2025. We've talked a ton on this show and a ton on all of our other shows about wealth distribution, whether it's best practices on the Rainmaker podcast, whether it's trends here or on the Dakota Research podcast, or what have you. So, just another leader in private markets continuing down that path, which is interesting to see.
Awesome. Yeah, we obviously, keeping track of job changes is obviously a core competency here at Dakota. So any additions to the Carlisle team will pick up and share that news on the podcast and elsewhere throughout the year. Speaking of job changes, though, just right into our normal segment here, starting off with a contact joining over at Abbey Street. We're talking of Josh Zajichek. Hopefully I have that right, but Josh, he left Waycross and is joining Abbey Street as their director of investments based out in Minneapolis. Staying with job changes, Rob Young has left Kovitz and has joined Northern Trust as their senior portfolio advisor. And then a couple of promotions over at Gray Court and Company as well. We have Wendy Pan and Owen Zajdel promoted to principal. And then they added Jake Trainer and Luke Zaren to the manager research team there.
Yeah, that's good stuff coming out of Gray Court, a firm we don't cover a ton, but that we probably should start covering more as they continue to grow. Let's get over to the RIA segment, though. Just transitioning from Gray Court, obviously a leader in that space. Rockefeller Capital Management, they've added Broderick Minglegreen Wealth Partners to their global family office that serves all of their ultra high net worth clients. That is a team that has over 50 years of experience based in New York City. It is Jack Broderick and Jason Minglegreen who lead that team. They have been affiliated with Stifel since 2015. So again, leaving Stifel and going over to Rockefeller. And then we did just see 4 financial advisors from Mercer and Laird Norton leave to start their own shop. It's called Basecamp Wealth Advisors in Bellevue, Washington, a place that I would love to go and visit Olympic National Park. So again, the firm in Bellevue, Washington will focus on serving ultra high net worth clients similar to the one that we just covered. So good day for the family offices on this podcast. They're going to be doing wealth management, investment planning, and general family office services, including tax coordination, multi-generational wealth and legacy planning, and estate planning. That team, again, coming from Mercer and Laird Norton, have now started Basecamp.
Nice, Pat. In our searches segment today, I have a variety of different search updates, commitment pacing plan, upcoming search, and then a search candidate review here. So starting off with Dallas with their police and fire pension system, $2.1 billion plan. They're going to be allocating $50 million to private credit here in 2025, targeting $30 million to direct lending, $15 million to multi-strategy, and then $5 million to a distressed strategy. They use Makita as their consultant there. And then over at Tulare County, based in LA, they manage around $2 billion in assets. They're bringing in Beach Point Real Estate Debt to interview in their upcoming February meeting. This was for a real estate debt search from last year. And then I'll just close out this segment here. We have an upcoming investment grade fixed income search. This is for the Massachusetts Housing Finance Agency retirement system. Smaller plan here, about $250 million in assets. They use Makita. This was from a meeting out in December. Their current investment grade manager, Longfellow, that contract is set to expire soon. So recommending an RFP for a new manager there.
Yeah, and 2 local relationships there with Tulare County and Beach Point being, LA based, and then Longfellow being Boston based with Massachusetts Housing Finance. So always like to call those out. Sometimes it's your backyard that can get you the most capital.
Yep.
Jumping to the investment side though, speaking of capital, we'll start in Toronto with CPP Investments, a massive player up there. Obviously, they've made some recent commitments. I'll call out actually all of these. Sometimes we just do an abridged version, but we can walk through these. So first, they made an investment with the Polaris Capital Fund. That is Fund 6, a middle market buyout fund. They invested roughly $75 million with Polaris. AXA on the Genesis Private Equity Secondaries Fund. That was roughly $172 million. CVC Growth Partners, that's actually a co-invest that they did on the private equity side, $200 million. Excel KKR Strategic Capital, everyone knows them obviously, middle market buyout leader, $100 million. BPEA Private Equity Fund 9, that's another middle market buyout fund, $700 million. And then TPG Angelo Gordon Opportunistic Real Estate, $323 million. So a lot of money getting put to work in Toronto. Alameda County as well, I'll just call out one recent commitment that they've made to Orchard Global Elgin Tree Opportunities Fund 3. That is an opportunistic private credit strategy. That was a $60 million allocation.
Nice, Pat. Tons of money flowing around here in the first quarter. We'll close this out with some fundraising updates too. We have 2 updates from portfolio advisors, or 3 updates from portfolio advisors, Oaktree and TPG, firms that most everyone is very familiar with. I'll start off with portfolio advisors. They have closed their 5th co-investment fund at $622 million. This is exceeding their $600 million target, but falling just short of their $721 million value of their 4th fund that they raised for. Fund closed in January 15th of this year, and then the predecessor fund also had a target of $600 million, falling shorter of Fund 4 there.
Portfolio advisors too, obviously Connecticut based, but a subsidiary now of FS, who has just announced they are actually moving their office closer to where we are here in Philly. Nice. I wonder if it's because of us in some capacity. I hope so. Oaktree Capital, they have closed on Oaktree Fund 12, $16 billion across the main fund and companion vehicles. Wow. Unbelievable.
Massive.
Yeah. And, I think we just talked about PSG on the last podcast, but just seeing in my notes here as well, PSG closed their 6th flagship buyout fund with $6 billion in commitments. So 2 just massive wins there for household names. And then finally, we did touch on Carlyle a little bit at the open of the call. Carlyle and TPG both looking to get more and more entrenched in the wealth space. TPG has decided that they will be launching a new evergreen private equity vehicle and a second GP-led secondaries fund in 2025. Carlyle also going to be launching a new fund later this year. The reason I'm calling those out is because, again, we mentioned the Dakota Research Podcast. Our topic deep dive for this week is evergreen funds. So seeing TPG here and seeing Carlyle potentially be heading down that path as well. Just something to call out if you do want to learn more about evergreen funds. We've now done an episode on that as we're recording this. That episode is actually being recorded in about an hour. So we'll have that live for Friday. We've done an episode on healthcare investing. Obviously, there's a ton going on in healthcare with the new administration and making various changes, and what are investors seeing and why is it so of interest. And the first episode of the podcast we did on secondaries. So now we have 3 episodes for you: secondaries, healthcare, and evergreen.
Nice. I tuned into the secondaries one. It was great, of course. How can people tune in this Friday for the upcoming show? Yeah,
you can register on our website for the live show with a Q&A component as well. So if you just go into our website, dakota.com, you go to events, and you'll see it on there. And cool. Then, again, like I mentioned, once they are recorded, you'll be able to see any of them wherever you get podcasts, probably on the same feed that you're listening to this right now.
Awesome, Pat. Yeah, that'll wrap it up for today. Before we close it out, just want to remind everyone, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, wherever you do to podcasts. We really appreciate that. Again, any feedback, you can send it over to us. Outside of that, you'll hear from us again at the end of the week here. Have a great week.
Thanks, everyone.
This episode is brought to you by Dakota Marketplace. Are you tired of constantly jumping between multiple databases and channels to find the right investment opportunities? Introducing Dakota Marketplace, the comprehensive institutional and intermediary database built by fundraisers for fundraisers. With Dakota Marketplace, you'll have access to all channels and asset classes in one place, saving you time and streamlining your fundraising process. Say goodbye to the frustration of searching through multiple databases, websites, Form ADVs, and say hello to a seamless and efficient fundraising experience. Sign up now and see the difference Dakota Marketplace can make for you. Visit dakota.com/Dakota-Marketplace today.